Welcome everyone, this is Planet Mules and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Derry Adwin,
Hi.
Erendis,
Hey, everybody.
and Sans Winda.
Hello.
Hello everyone, and let us begin with the news for this week. We did have a Borer patch this week, but it was pretty much just some minor tweaks, trying to hone it down to our final build in there. So they were noticing that the virtue system that seems to be at about the place where they are liking it. So they think that the passives are now to the point where they wanted it, because a couple weeks ago they were still thinking that it might be needing a lot of tweaking. Now it looks like they're satisfied with it, at least until they get the complaints and all that fun stuff, which...
Well, you always get complaints. Nobody's ever happy.
Yes, I know. They're everything you can think about the new system, people are complaining about already, and I'm sorry, but I actually, Sans, you were saying, because Sans was noting that it's another thing for the raid leaders to say, "Oh, what? You don't have all your virtues complete? Okay, no, you can't join."
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to keep raiding. I've had fun, but if it takes a lot of work to get my virtues to where I can raid, it's probably not going to happen, so...
You'll do 42 days in Minas Tirith to get your LIs up, but you won't do work on your virtues?
I still haven't finished this. It's 42 days per LI. I have not finished for everybody. I've finished, like, a handful of LIs.
I'm just thinking it's actually going to be easier to raise virtues than it is to raise an LI. That's just the comparison that I'm trying to make.
That's sad, but good. But that's a very low standard.
It is sad, but it probably is not an inaccurate comparison, all things considered.
I mean, it just sounds like it's going to be the same sort of grind, but you get passive benefits, so it might even out.
I mean, you do deeds as a matter of course anyway. I
at least
actually
some
was
of them.
noticing. Well, you do deeds as a matter of course anyway, because you still have all of your quest deeds and your slayer deeds and blah, 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 that you end up in exploration deeds. So if you can pick what virtues you are getting when you do those deeds anyway, instead of useless virtues like wisdom that nobody ever uses.
Yeah. Oh,
I happened to notice this because I completed on my Laurelin area, I completed an exploration deed earlier today, and I opened it up to see what virtue it was, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm never going to use that. So, you know, you have all of these deeds that you're doing as a matter of playing the game anyway, so if instead of getting virtues you would never use, you're instead getting virtue XP that you can put towards virtues that you actually are going to use, I'm all for this system.
Yeah, I think what Sans is worried about, though, is that some raid leaders will insist that you have all the virtues up so that you have all the passives.
I was going to say, I think you're going to have to get more than just the 5 to where they need to be now, which I might have time to do it, but I might not. I mean, if it fits with normal gameplay and I don't have to do 42 more days of dailies somewhere else, especially if they don't also give scrolls of empowerment. I mean, but if it's gonna, like, if the dailies that award Virtue XP don't also award scrolls of empowerment or Starlit Crystals, I don't know which one I'm gonna have to choose. Like, I've still got a lot of days in Minas Tirith left that are not getting done quickly because I'm so tired of Minas Tirith.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I mean, it could work out well, but
it all depends on how many of the passives the high-end raid leaders are going to insist on people having, because there might be some of them which they don't care about.
Hopefully. I know right now going into raids, a lot of my mitigations are coming from my virtues because that's the easiest place to get a decent boost in that, and they're not boosting the main stats that much, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the passives work. And we'll see.
All right, good. Now, last time I read this might have been either the last week version of the patch notes they saw or whatever, but they were saying that the 64-bit client wasn't supporting Lua, but it seems like that Cordovan during yesterday's show was saying that it does seem to be supporting Lua by now, and that I guess that was a dated entry. And it looks like they're no longer saying it doesn't support it in here. Because I think earlier they were saying that it wasn't going to be in Update 24, but Cordovan gave the impression during his stream yesterday that the Lua stuff might be in there. So there's
That
some
would be
hope.
cool.
I wish, of course, I heard of that before I missed the window to be playing on Bullroar this time around instead of afterwards.
Well, yeah, and I've missed all of the Bullroar tests, so I don't actually know how the virtues are working. I'm just looking at the conversion and the screenshots I've seen posted.
Yeah.
Are the ones that I'm going, hopefully this will work better than it looks like it's going to right now.
I guess we're just going to see when it comes out whether you're in a better position for rating or in a worse position for rating. And if you're in a worse position, will you be able to quickly...
I was going to say, how many hours and days and weeks will it take to get in position to be able to do something? That's the question.
Oh, well.
We'll see.
Well, I can't imagine them expecting you to have all of the passives, because that's just obnoxious.
Well, it's obnoxious, but...
Well,
they're... Okay, it depends on which raid leaders we're talking about.
Obviously, you should have a decent amount of passives, but your virtues actually shouldn't make a difference as long as your stats are fine. Like, as long as your mitigations and damage and whatever is up where it's considered to be acceptable, it shouldn't matter what the heck your virtues are.
Yeah, but the newest armor sets, like, unless you've done the raid enough time to get good raid gear, were pretty much making it so that you pretty much had to rely on your virtues for, like, mitigations. So, if you wanted to also have, like, your mastery up, or your, I'm trying to think what the other one was that I got up, like, for my hunter. I think it was physical mastery, that I was trying to get up. So, I don't know. We'll see. But there weren't a lot of slots to be able to do that with, essences this time. So. And finesse. Finesse was the other one.
Ah, yeah, finesse.
The essences were needed for.
We'll just have to find out when the thing gets released. And I'm sure that the show after the release of it, you're going to talk about how your virtues look and whether you're liking it or scared or what.
Well, yeah, and I'll have an idea too, like how they perform probably in a group setting. At least I'll try to. I suppose it'll depend on my work schedule that week, but.
Well, I'm sure that my Langeville Warden is not going to get into any serious raids anytime soon, because I was comparing the virtues on my Warden on Langeville to my Warden on Honor.
And what's the level difference there, Pineleaf?
On Honor I'm level 57, on Langeville I'm 120, but the virtues are higher on Honor.
By how much?
Well, let's see. Actually, where am I comparing? Actually, they might be about the same on Langeville, because I think it's on Arkenstone where I was noting how much lower they were, because they were like 5. And then, of course, down on Honor, they're about 9 and 10.
I mean, the struggle is real, because I'm running Laurel and Terry right now, and she's got a virtue equipped that is at 2. So...
Well, yeah, and I might also be slightly unsure about the system because I just barely got my virtues, like the 5 to 20, so that I could do things.
I mean,
And
she's
then
also got
got a
like
few more to
loyalty,
20 to
which I never
change, but
use at level 7, but it's because it's probably quest related.
probably.
Which is actually a little annoying that there are a lot of useless virtues attached to quest related stuff.
True.
Any more comments about the release notes that we have in here? Then let's head into our beacon for this week. And up on the top, it appears that they are visiting. I presume that's from the hedge maze.
Yeah.
And apparently they disagree on which direction to go.
Somebody was probably reading the signs that you put up to mislead people.
Yeah, there is that. In the community spotlight, the Light the Beacons has posted episode 100. Yes, they have lit their 100th beacon, so congratulations to Bragg. And there is a link to episode 100. And you also view all the creative designs from Dekamalu and the X2 Creator Contest. And don't forget to sign up for Shirefest 2019. And you could click on the link to get your band into the lineup. And of course, we also have Weatherstock 11 coming up, and there is also a link to register for that event. And Tanulier, Ethelyn, Lilith, music perform on, that's on Linamar, June 2nd, that's tomorrow, on Larlin. As for the Kin Hall, Victory Secret is a specialty kin for challenge-seeking players who we grew out of a couple of forum threads that looked into how landscape difficulty had gotten easier and easier over the... Oh, sorry, to say it was constantly getting... Okay, maybe that thread started before Mordor came out, but anyone thinks it got easier after Mordor.
Well, Mordor is easier now than it was when it released.
Well, okay, I will say that, but it would be hard for it not to be.
Fair.
Yes. And how it got easier and easier over the years. They wanted to get back to the Adrenaline Junkie Challenge. Early players remember from when the game was young. I don't remember it being that overly hard, but I think one of the things is that there's also a perception thing where you remember it as being significantly even harder than it really was, I think. At least that's the impression I get sometimes. But yeah, there's some zones.
I remember a lot of things killing me before I had a chance to do anything that I can usually take on now. So, I mean, I don't know if the game got easier or I got better at playing it, but...
It could be a combination of both of them. But I do remember, though, at the very low-level zones, for example, were toughened up a couple of updates back.
That's true.
Nowhere near to where they used to be, though. I do actually remember the game being quite a bit harder. For one, I remember not having red dots on the radar.
Well, the red dots do help a great deal. I do have to admit that knowing where the enemies are, where it's relatively safe to fight or hide or anything like that, does make things a little bit easier on there. And
I turned those off for Mordor, and I didn't have any trouble in Mordor, really. It actually was kind of fun to not... it was more relaxing to not know where all of the enemies were. Like, I didn't realize I was surrounded, because I went through Agronite later with the red dots turned back on, and I was like, oh my god! How did I get through here without freaking out? Oh, right. I had the red dots turned off.
Yes. Anyway, continuing with the Ken Hall, we are dedicated to playing without armor or jewelry, which is sometimes referred to as a naked, if you will, but you are allowed to wear cosmetics. And this turns out to be a remarkably balanced way to ratchet up the challenge. Classes have been played much more strategically. Food and scrolls matter. Group quests usually require a fellowship of at least 2, and dying is something that happens. But since you're making yourself more vulnerable without much reduction in damage, we can stay on level. We're a small but enthusiastic social kin, most players in North America, but a few of them are in Europe. Kin House, with all crafting stations, is the Shire neighborhood of totally, get it, totally naked. And this is a coincidence, but we're rolling with it. And despite the adrenaline junkie charter, we're very friendly to inexperienced players. I've been a solo player for 6 years, and this kin has taught me how to group. In game, you can contact Adrith or Wisa, or just search for the kin of the social panel and contact anyone. Join us to bear the unbearable and feel the breeze. You can, yes, and that is on. Hey, with all this, I forgot which server they're on. Did they actually say which server they're on?
They don't, actually.
Okay, so yes, unfortunately, I don't know which server they're on. So unless they have well, I doubt that they have a Kinhawk, in totally on every single server. So I'll see if I can find out which server they're on. But meanwhile, let's head into our weekly comment. And the question this week is, while traveling along the bank of the Brandywine River, when you notice something shiny, you go to pick it up and discover it's...
A bottle, usually.
Well, I suppose that if we were talking about talk like a pirate, the mariner's...
I mean, yeah, shipwrecked mariner.
Yeah, shipwrecked mariner. Yes, that would be something you'll find shiny along the Brandywine River. Would be one of those. Yes. Sans, you have an idea?
Well, my first answer was ale, and my second response was, wait, is that really what it was that I was picking up for the shipwrecked mariner? I think it was.
Yeah, it was grog. Bottles of grog.
Yeah.
Because pirates.
I mean, I'm trying to think the other shiny things along there. Coils of rope? Those were pretty shiny before I picked them up. They're right by the water's edge.
Oh, yeah, you have those things.
It might have been a fish.
A fish. I mean, it could be really bad if going through all there, Frodo accidentally dropped the ring and the shiny thing is the one ring.
That would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
He gets all the way to Mordor and is like, wait a second.
That'd be kind of funny, though. Destroying the counterfeit worked, guys.
Oh, the psychology play.
We gotta go back.
Could be silverware washed down from Anonymous.
True.
Ye oldie rusty spoon.
The old rusty spoon trick, yeah. I suppose that's always a possibility. Any other possibilities that anyone has thought of? Ooh. Victory's secret is on Honor.
Ah.
Does it say that somewhere?
I found a thread on the forums from Echo Weaver.
Okay.
Victory Seeking is an honor kinship dedicated to naked adventuring. All right. So that's the answer then. It is on honor. Then let's head back to the beacon. And our fan site news for this week. You can watch Druid's Fire as the guest hostess for this week's Mythgard and Middle-earth. You could follow Epic Shenanigery with Tesla the Panda, and you could join a journey with Wandering Red, and you could accompany Balville on her adventures through Middle-earth. Watch Flights of Fancy with a Wayward Plane, and The Road Goes Ever On with Gravity 42, and you can watch LOTRO Adventures with a French Whist. And our screenshot of the week seems to be a little time to eat in Rohan. And this is by Matrix J sent this week's screenshot of the week. Can you know anywhere where in Rohan this is?
I don't actually remember which feast table this is.
This has to be at a... It would probably have to be at Metacell based on the shields that are there. But that's just a guess from it based on the shields and everything. But that's it for the screenshot of the week. So let us then head into our store sales for this week. And Terry, what's on sale?
Let's see. We've got 25% off expansions and expansion quests, in-game only. Enhanced XP supply and Hornburg token, skirmishes and instances, the 100% mark acquisition boosts, and the weekly coupon gets you vault services for 6 hours with the coupon code VAULT now through June 6th.
Now, the vault service is for 6 hours. Does that allow you to call the vault service anywhere?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That could be useful if you have a character that's going to be...
Is it 6 hours like real time or 6 hours game time?
It's 6 hours that you are in the game.
Nice.
Ooh.
So the timer stops when you log out.
Okay. That's good. It's not like that horse whistle.
Right.
Very well. So, vault services for 6 hours. That sounds like the first time I heard that one being on the coupon code list.
It is.
Then let's head into our site news where we have another installment of Where in Middle-earth is Emeralina. This is episode number 9. And last week's, where I had absolutely no idea where it was, and now I know why I have no idea where it was.
It was in the Moors. I told you it was in the Moors. It was in Taliscarnan, actually. And I did not have a chance to go scout the location for myself. Because when I logged into Arkenstone to attempt to scout the location for myself, Arkenstone was a little busy.
A little busy. There was a war going on.
Yeah, well, and all of the fighting was at Taliscarnan. So...
I know. Everybody was going there to see where Emeralina was.
I guess.
with that battle going on, but now you finally know. All right. Then let's head into our new player question. And Arendis, what's your question this week?
This week I wanted to ask, it might be, or well, we'll see. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. Does raid gear differ from normal gear, or can you use your normal gear to raid? Does it depend on your group? How does that kind of work? Is there
I think Sans will have a better idea on this.
Yeah.
Usually when the raid first comes out, normal gear is what you wear into it because that's all you have. Usually raid gear means one of two things. Either it's gear that you have with the specific stats that you need to go raiding. So, for instance, my healing mini has raid gear, some of which is actually from the raid now, and some of which isn't, but it's the gear that she puts on when she goes into the raid. So it has the outgoing healing boosts on it as opposed to finesse. But any other time on the landscape, she wears her finesse gear because it helps her kill things. When you've gotten, like when you're doing the raid, the boss chests have a chance to drop armor for you that, like, in its title will usually have something to do with the raid. And that is usually a pretty big upgrade from whatever you're wearing. At least the first few times that you're going through there. And then as you tier that, then that gear that you get from running the raid at tier 1 will be your raid gear to go into tier 2. And then at tier 2, you'll get even better gear. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so whether you can raid in normal gear or not depends on the difficulty of the raid and how good your normal gear is compared to what's needed for the raid.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So don't expect to go into a serious tier 2 raid with your landscape earned gear.
Oh, yeah.
At least not only landscape earned gear. If you've still got just one or two pieces, but they're doing what they need to do, it might be okay, but there should be stats posted somewhere of what your stats need to be able to survive a tier 2 raid. And if you get at or close to, really close to all of those, you should be able to do the tier 2 with a good group.
Yes. I believe that you can tell what they are, but look at my stats and double them, and that's what you need. Let's into our week in LOTRO. And Terry Edwin, what were you up to?
I didn't do tons this week, but today my Laurelin Terry helped a friend. So the friend that got me back into playing on Laurelin made it to finally Helm's Dyke, where she's at in the epic story. She had to do the epic battles. And I had told her to let me know when she was there so that I could run them with her. And my plan for this is because if I run them before I get there, I don't have to do them when I get there. So, yeah, we went through 4 of the 5 epic battles in the Defense of Rohan series. Reached level 90, and she finished up in Underharrow and is playing around on her way to Aldeburgh. So, still progressing through the epic story. Fun fact, epic battles, the Glittering Caves, if you run the wrong way and you don't know this, you die.
Uh-huh.
Oh, great.
Yep, I learned that very early.
I don't think I have done that instance yet where I haven't ended up going back to the middle, because I always get turned around and I always end up dead.
Yep.
That sounds like a typical run.
Yeah. And in our case, we actually died twice because we were trying to do one of the encounters and we got overwhelmed and dead. And then we got called back to the center and we got turned around and dead. So, but hey, you're back at the center anyway. We actually weren't doing too badly. I think they've lowered. Well, I know that they've lowered a lot of the requirements from what they were originally, but I think they dropped them again since the last time I went through them, because we actually got 3 silver completions and a gold, which is
nice.
I mean, our performance wasn't that great on the encounters and stuff, but we did take care of our banners and make sure none of our guys got killed, so I guess we got credit for that. And yeah, that was pretty much my week. So, Arindis, how about you?
I was actually not able to play this week. So, Sans, how was your week?
On the field trip, we dealt with some boorish orcs in Rohan. Well, they were rude, and they kind of really liked boars. And yeah, so yeah, we dealt with them pretty soundly a couple times. And I toured Goblin Town with Cinders and Pineleaf. And I discovered that there's a limit to how many monsters can be in Monster Play, because when I tried to log into Monster Play on Arkenstone, it wouldn't let me because there were too many monsters already in. So, however many there could be, there were. But I wasn't in there, so I don't know how crazy it was. And since I was last here, I reached rank 6 on my Warg on Arkenstone, and completed the Anvil twice with play. So, Pineleaf, how was your week?
All right, we'll begin with my Honor Warden, who completed Book 3 of the Moria Epic storyline. And I also reached Kindred with the Iron Garrison Miners, which means now I have all of the normal quest factions that have already been unlocked. I've managed to get to Kindred with them all. Actually, no, that's right, because I have not yet entered in the Lothorian, so I guess that is a faction that I don't know about, is the yes, it's the Galadriel, or I completely forgot about them. But yes, I'm going to learn about them soon, I guess. And I am going to need that one if I'm going to make what's it called, the Ambassador of the Elves or something like that. I think that's a thing in there, so I'll have to worry about that sometime in the future. But I do have both of the Moria factions now, and all the Eriador ones except for the ones in Enenwythe. Then on Friday Night Fights, we ran Keys at 115, since that was the featured instance this week. And this is the first time in which I've actually, I think I might have attempted to run that instance once or twice in the past and died so fast that I didn't know I don't think I got to the point where you meet Aragorn, which is pretty much right at the beginning. So that's how bad in runs I've done. But see how early that is? I'm just wondering, maybe I just never attempted to do it before. But we're running it at 115, and we managed to get through it with only a little bit of problem, though it was very annoying when you have a mob here who just steals your power instantly.
Yep.
That's a real annoying mob, unless of course you're playing a Bjornie. Then after that, we ran a pair of skirmishes, Strike against Dananglor and Protectors of Fongohad. And during Dananglor, I was we managed to get talking about treasure caches. And someone was saying that they haven't gotten any, they haven't started the ones in Mirkwood or something like this. I said, that's right. And I mentioned that, yeah, the only one I've got is the one that's here. And there's what do you mean there's one here? I pointed out to them that, yes, they're, right in the room behind the boss in Strike Against Dananglor, there's one of the caches. So they managed to get that. So Now they know where that one is located. Then, during the field trip, in addition to dealing with some boorish orcs, we had to mourn the death of Baby Bear.
Poor Baby Bear. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So...
I didn't mean to hit Baby Bear. It was an AoE and I was on a mini.
Ah, yes. You gotta be careful with what those minis do.
It was that big bad wolf's fault.
I'm blaming it on Big Bad Wolf. Oh, it was a wolf there?
It was a wolf that had chased us that made us stop and turn to fight.
Oh, okay, yes, we can blame it on the Big Bad Wolf then.
Big Bad Wolf and Big Bad Wolf and Baby Bear. Was it Fairy Tale Night on Friday? For the field trip?
Maybe. I mean, there was this cool cottage with a little girl sleeping in a little bed. 2 empty beds that looked less comfortable, you know.
Yes. Then let's head into our news beyond LOTRO this week, where we have another wallpaper gallery by Darren Loremaster, and this is the montage for each of the 4 for the wallpapers for each of the 4 standards of the One Ring. So if you missed any of them, you could just go to this one and grab each of the 4 wallpapers. We currently have 19 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. This week we did not receive any emails, so if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Players Alliance, @PlayersAlly, LOTRO Players @LOTROPlayers, Arendis @Arendis, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Sanswinda @Sanswinda, and Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Thursdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DEO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. Each of our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, and this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.